That won't get you anywhere. If you don't think you're a winner, you don't belong here.
The Star Fantasy League Show puts you in control of your own team. Find out who to sit, who to start, how to play, and have your daily fantasy sports questions answered with your host, Jonathan Sprawn, and co-host Matthew Futter and Nick Steblenko. The Star Fantasy League Show is on the air now.
Hello and welcome to the Star Fantasy League Show. I'm your host, Matthew Futter, joined by my co-host, Nick Steblenko, and I'm excited today.
Yeah, you are very excited. You're in your face. Let's go!
I'm very excited, of course, because we get to talk daily fantasy sports.
Yep. I love that.
Yeah, definitely. We're actually going to start today, though, talking a little baseball because it's had some fantasy impact heading into the season.
We have to trickle a little bit of it in. We have to sprinkle it in here and there. We are getting
give the viewers/listeners a little taste each day.
It doesn't look like it outside, but March is approaching.
That is true.
That means baseball will be here soon enough.
Yep, and the news breaking was that Anaheim, Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
Oh, we had a running joke about this.
Did
last
you?
Year. Yeah, it was the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim that resides somewhere near the 405 freeway in Southern California.
Fair enough. The Angels, I guess you could call him star. Big time player. I wouldn't say star player.
He's
good player.
He brings an offensive presence to the team.
Yeah,
sure.
Josh Hamilton supposedly relapsed on his drug addiction, and rumors are that he dabbled in some cocaine.
Yeah, and this is not a new story as far as the addictions that he's had in the past, but it is just because the league is going to decide whether or not to discipline him, and I think the big question is, it sounds like he turned himself in on this.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like. It sounds like he approached the league and said, I have a problem still, and I need to deal with this, and he's being honest and upfront, as opposed to someone like, say, unfortunately, Alex Rodriguez, who just lies and just slithers his way around the grass and figures his way back into the lineup. He's totally sorry, I swear. No, he's not.
But to be fair, he didn't have a drug addiction.
No, he did. No, but he had an addiction to steroids, I guess, that's what he would say. He would say, "Oh, it was an addiction." Listen, I think that Josh Hamilton, if you really have an illness, which that's what I think addiction is too. Yeah. If you have an illness like that, that's not something you should be punished for. That's something that the league should help him out with.
They
should help him to get counseling. They should help him to go to rehab. They should help him to figure out ways for him to live his life in baseball and not have to be faced with that anymore. Maybe they turn him into a public speaker of some sort, and maybe that helps him. I don't know, but he shouldn't be suspended for that. In my opinion, he should not be suspended.
Well, remember he was suspended, I believe, in 2003 for a drug issue, and he didn't play baseball from 2002 to, I think, 2006. He was out of the game. So for him to come back, I believe he won an American League MVP after that. He's a phenomenal talent. There's no doubt about it. And it's sad to see a guy like this who is not doing anything to anyone else, but it's just hurting himself.
Yeah, and this really, this hurts one of the best offensive teams in baseball, too.
Yep.
Last year they finished in the top 5. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. I'm a hockey guy, not a baseball guy. But they were one of the best offensive teams in the league, and I know Hamilton wasn't the forefront of that. Obviously, they have Mike Trout. They have Albert Pujols. Cole Calhoun stepped up, and he was an emerging star. I mean, so they have the talent to survive without him, but it's not great.
No.
It's not going to help.
He fills a great hole in that outfield,
Yep.
and the middle of the order with that bat as well.
Exactly. He's a great left-hander, and that's something that you always want to have, especially in the American League. You need to have runs in the American League. So he can always be in the outfield. He can be a designated hitter. That's a big loss for them. But it does mean good things for us in daily fantasy because that means a guy like Cole Calhoun is going to immediately be thrust into the spotlight. He's going to be a guy I think you're going to be using quite a bit this season.
Great. There's your baseball talk for the day as we slowly get into things. If you
little knowledge we have,
if you pay attention over the next few weeks, listening to our show or watching us on YouTube, we're going to be breaking down each division from a fantasy perspective, mainly daily fantasy. Guys, you should be targeting. But we can help you out with season long as well because we know that's very popular. And we're going to have season long baseball on StarFantasyLeagues.com this year as well. Yeah, me too. It's going to be pretty interesting to see how the office dynamic goes with baseball as well because we got some big baseball guys here.
Yep, and we're not them.
No,
but we're still going to be there. We're going to compete.
No, definitely.
We love the competition.
Exactly. All right, let's jump into a sport that is playing tonight. That's the NBA. Of course, it's Thursday, which means it's the light schedule tonight. There's actually only 2 games on the schedule, but they're 2 huge games, I feel.
I love that we're jumping into basketball.
Did you like that?
That was a nice little pun.
Did you like that?
Yeah, and 2 good games at that. Obviously, on Thursday, they really do try to
highlight.
They try to highlight
Yep.
teams, yeah. So why don't we start right off? We'll just jump right in here. Get it? And the first game is Golden State at Cleveland. The big question, I guess, is Steph Curry going to be playing in this one? Is he good to go?
My guess is yes, because he played last game against Washington. Like I said, a good defensive team, and he went for over 40 fantasy points.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I don't see any hesitation from what I've seen for the news this morning. Again, it's kind of early for us doing this to know for the definites for the night for the NBA. But this has a high line. It's 214.5, and Cleveland's 3.5, which doesn't really much. It's kind of a pick 'em.
I would throw that out.
Yeah.
I really would. I mean, these are two great teams. They're two teams that we will see in the playoffs. And I mean, Golden State is an offensive. They're an offensive juggernaut. So. Well, I don't know. What do you like? Who do you see, and what do you like in this one?
Yeah, they're an offensive juggernaut, although they've played pretty good at defending players this year as well. On the Golden State side, I think if he's playing, which he most likely is, it's not hard to pick Steph Curry.
And on a short slate like tonight, it's one of those things where, I mean, you start with your value plays, right? You start on the value end, and then if you fit guys in, then you take a shot. You say Curry or LeBron or Westbrook. I mean, really, those are the guys.
This is a night where, depending on the game you're playing, a GPP or heads up or whatnot, this is the night where you have to hit on that star that you pick and pay up for. There's no doubt about it. If in bigger nights, if you pick a guy and he maybe not as does as well, other guys might pick him. But there's other options other players can make up. Tonight, the rosters are going to be very similar, so you have to hit on the big guy, whether it's Curry or whether it's Westbrook or whether it's whatever guy you're paying up for, you have to hit on him.
So what are you going to do as far as value goes in this game so that you can get one of those bigger guys in?
It's tough. The one, Klay Thompson is at 15,000. Draymond Green's at 15,000. I guess you could consider those guys more value tonight based on their matchups. Cleveland's not great at defending the shooting guard or the small forward. Okay. On the Cleveland side, Kevin Love, that's an option at 17,000. I'm looking at Timofey Mozgov. He's at 11,600. He's the cheapest starting center tonight. Alex Len is, but he's just right around the cheapest starting. So I'm putting him in tonight most likely.
And it's really not the worst matchup in the world. I mean, Golden State is 11th against opposing centers, so that's not bad.
Worse.
That's not bad. On a short slate, you got to find what you can
Going
find.
up against Bogut, who's a decent defender but has struggled this season with injuries. They've had rotating guys in there. It's really tough. You could consider a guy like J.R. Smith. He's under 9,000. I'm not really looking at Iman Shumpert, but going through those lineups, I think it's going to be tough to find. You got to take chances on guys who might be backups or starting, but maybe don't see a ton of minutes. But they are starting. So
well, then I think we're going to have to find some value in the other game then. So why don't we jump over to that one before the break here? Oklahoma City at Phoenix. Oklahoma City is a 4.5-point favorite. The over/under is slightly higher in this one, 216.5.
Well, this game is a little bit more wide open, obviously, because of the numbers. Oklahoma City defends, the shooting guard, the small forward, the center very well. Meanwhile, on the Phoenix side, they defend the power forward position and the point guard well. So it's kind of like opposite of each other. So you're looking at guys like, for Oklahoma City, I'm probably playing, the point guard for, Phoenix because they don't defend the point guard well. Westbrook's not the great defender. So you're looking at like Eric Bledsoe, who's at 17,000. They just recently acquired Brandon Knight. They've moved him to the shooting guard position. He's at 15,000. Both of those guys together are playing 30-plus minutes. So putting those two in together, I think, is a good option. I think Westbrook easily could have a huge night again. He's probably the guy that I'm going to pay up for tonight if I can fit him in. I'm not saying I can, but with Kevin Durant still out of the lineup, he's been playing unbelievable. Same with Serge Ibaka, actually. He's at 15,000. He's a guy who's stepped up very well in Durant's absent. I can't speak today. I'm going 100 miles a minute.
In his absence.
Yes, not the drink.
No,
absent.
No.
And Kanter's been playing pretty well, too, since coming over in that trade. So if you're looking for value tonight, like I said, Alex Len is the cheapest starting center for the Phoenix Suns. He's at 10,000.
Not a great matchup, though.
No, not a great matchup, but sometimes you just have to take a chance by putting one of those guys in.
It's going to be a big toss-up. Westbrook, Curry, or James. Who's it going to be? We don't know, but you got to get the value in there if you're going to get those guys in. So I think we gave him a fair amount.
Well, they're going to know at the end of the show because I'm going to give them a winning NBA lineup.
That's what I'm talking about.
Coming out of the break, we're going to do some daily NHL, and you're watching the Star Fantasy League Show.
The Star Fantasy League Show. Information is key to being a successful fantasy team owner, and the guys have all the updated info you need right now.
Welcome back on the Star Fantasy League Show. I am your host, Matthew Futter, joined by my co-host, Nick Steblenko. And
we're the guys.
We are.
We're the guys, and we have the updated info.
We're not the other guys.
We're just the guys.
The guys. We got a lot of hockey tonight, which is fantastic.
I love it. I love it.
This is one of the nights I really enjoy watching hockey. End of the week, end of the work week, so you're excited to, just kind of lounge out and watch some hockey.
I love that, yeah. And it's 9 games. It's not like 10 or 11, so it's not an enormous slate, but still we do have quite a few games to choose from. So we get a good variety.
Sure. All right.
It's going to be tough, but we'll do it.
All right. Well, let's jump right in. First game of the slate tonight
Wait. We got to skate right in.
Remember,
we can't jump in. We got to skate in.
Slide right in?
Slide right in.
All right. Fair we go. We got the Vancouver Canucks minus 220 taking on my Buffalo Sabres plus 180. Questionable, but most likely Eddie Lack because Miller is injured versus Michael Neuwirth, which I'm kind of disappointed Miller's not available. Heading back playing his team for the first time. So.
And Buffalo would give him a standing O, too.
Oh, yeah.
They would definitely
I got my Ryan Miller photos in here right now. I love the guy, man.
Absolutely. He just needed to go elsewhere. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So obviously Vancouver is the pick in this one, at Buffalo being as bad as they have been this season. But unfortunately for Vancouver, Michael Neuwirth is playing well. Yeah. He's playing really well.
This is like Jonas Enroth earlier this season.
Yeah, where they went on, a 14-game streak or some craziness. Yeah. So it does give a knock to a bunch of the Vancouver players. I'm not so sure that I want to go all in on Vancouver. They've been playing better recently, so I think you have to give them a look, and they are still rather valuable. The Sedin girls, they're still pretty affordable as well.
I really hate those guys.
Yeah, whatever. But they've also kind of mixed up the first 2 lines as well. So Zach Kassian, he's playing on the top line. I like him for a value play. I know you guys traded him away and got the raw end of that deal.
Our star player in that deal is playing on the 4th line. Currently,
I know that's
for the Sabres.
Way to go, Cody. Way to go. And then Sean Matthias, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I'm sorry, but he will be on the 2nd line. So there are some value options there. There's some chances that you can take if you want to take a chance on Radim Verbata. He is a little bit more expensive, but I like other guys at that price. So it's a little bit tough. And for Buffalo, no. Well, actually, you know what? Neuwirth. You could go with Neuwirth because he is hot, but no.
Is he around the minimum still, or is he a little bit above?
I can check that.
Right.
I can definitely check that.
I was just curious because minimum on StarFantasyLeagues.com for a goalie is $11,000. But sometimes,
No, actually. He has 25 games played. He is at 17,400.
Wow.
So the low game played number is a factor in that, but he's been hot. The price is going up.
Definitely. All right. Anything else from this game?
No.
All right. Let's move on.
Oh, no.
Arizona Coyotes plus 220, most likely Mike Smith versus the New York Rangers minus 260.
Yeah, this is another obvious one here where the Rangers are definitely the play.
Arizona's tanking all of a sudden.
Yeah, they are. Well, no, they've been just bad. They're trying to catch up to Edmonton and Buffalo.
Yeah.
But they've set a standard, so you really got to raise the bar on your horrible play.
Yes.
But the thing about the Rangers, and I think we discussed this the other day, is when they're at home, they're not as productive. They don't score as much. They just played Arizona recently, and they beat them 5-1, but that was in Arizona. And for whatever reason, they're playing better in other barns than they are in their own. So it is what it is. You have to take that into account. Rick Nash, we have to check and see if he will be in the lineup. He was out on Tuesday with neck spasms. You never like to hear anything with the neck. So we'll see. He should be playing tonight. There's options top to bottom on this Rangers team. I particularly like Ryan McDonough on the back end, but Derek Stepan, Derek Brassard, the list goes on with these guys. The one guy I really do like because he did play well against Arizona the last time that they played was Chris Kreider. Okay. I haven't played him much this season, and for good reason. He's very spotty, but he played a great game against Arizona, and I have to believe that it has something to do with his speed. He's one of the faster guys in the NHL, and Arizona's old. They are not able to keep up with everybody. So they've taken a page out of New Jersey's playbook. They just have everybody that's old on their team. So I like Chris Kreider tonight as well.
The Rangers always had this MO for years. I'm talking about pre-lockout, post-lockout. So this would be the second lockout.
Third, actually.
Third, yeah. No, but I'm talking about the one like 2005 or whatnot.
Sure.
Had that MO of being a big, slow, old team.
Yep.
And they've shed that over the last couple of years. They are one of the fastest teams. Like I said, I was at the game the other night. Exciting hockey to watch.
Absolutely, yeah. So they've done the right thing.
All right.
Lou, if you could, pick up on this, please?
Fair enough. Moving on, the Montreal Canadiens minus 145 with Carey Price in net. Taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets plus 125. Curtis McElhinney has been confirmed.
You know, I try to play the Montreal Canadiens anytime they have a really solid matchup, and unfortunately I've gotten burned recently because whenever they play a team that they're supposed to smoke, they just don't put up the numbers. Carey Price, you can play him any night. I recommend playing him in heads-up and double-up games. You just can't fit him in if you're going to be playing a GPP tournament play. So I think he's always a play, but the Canadiens make me a little nervous. If I'm going to recommend anybody, I'm going to start with Max Pacioretty. He's been great against the Blue Jackets this season. He is a top dollar play, though, so you do have to factor that in. He's still under $16,000, which is nice, but that's still a high price tag. Thomas Plekanec was fantastic against the Blue Jackets this year as well. And Brendan Gallagher and Alex Galchenyuk are really coming around. They're having a breakout season. But the Canadiens have done a little bit of shakeup, too, as well. Lars Eller is playing on that second line, so there's a good value option for you.
Lars Eller play.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great value option for you. Gallagher moved up to the first line. So there's some options there, and I think you really have to consider the Canadiens on a night like tonight.
All right, fair enough. Moving along, we got the Philadelphia Flyers minus 110 with Robert Zepp taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs minus 110. We got to pick them.
So pick them.
Versus Jonathan Bernier.
You know,
Maple Leafs just made a couple moves yesterday.
That is true.
One move, getting rid of Daniel Winnick. So.
This is a team that's tanking.
Yes.
This is a team that's tanking, and mark my words, Toronto will have a shot at the number 1 pick. Just saying, it's a conspiracy theory, but Connor McDavid loves the Leafs, and Canada loves to keep their prodigal son. Fine. You know what?
Jack Eichel loves the Sabres.
We'll take Eichel. That's fine.
So.
I mean, I got to recommend that you play Philly. Wayne Simmons, although he was held off the score sheet last game, ending his point streak, he's still a great play. He's still under $13,000. I think that's great for his value. Claude Giroux has a chance at being the top play of the night. Last time Jonathan Bernier played the Philadelphia Flyers, he gave up 7 goals.
Oof.
That was earlier in the season, though. So he is definitely.
But they
the
haven't
better
gotten
goalie.
any better though.
No,
as
they haven't.
Overall team. So.
Well, yeah, but this was when they were playing well.
That's true. That's what I'm saying.
Either way, Bernier is the better option. He is much better than James Reimer, in my opinion. But either way, I still like Philly. I think they should be able to pull off a pretty solid win tonight, and they should be able to score some goals as well. So
I think about the goalies who've gone through Toronto, and some who've. They had Tuukka Rask in that organization.
They did.
They had Tuukka Rask. Then they had other guys that were terrible. Andrew Raycroft, Gustafson, different guys like that. But they had Tuukka Rask at one point.
I really hope that the Sabres, that they come back to prominence before the Leafs, and it's because of the fact that, not just because we're so close to one another, but it's because of the fact that they're doing it organically. They're not just throwing guys away and trying to grab new guys like the Leafs do.
Yeah.
I think that's the way to go. I think you need to build through the draft and wait and be patient.
Well, one team that's built through the draft has been the Chicago Blackhawks. That's the next team we're going to talk about. They're minus 130 tonight. Most likely Corey Crawford, although who knows? Scott Darling could be tossed out there.
Yeah, Darling did play against them last time. This is a home and home.
Yeah, taking on Florida plus 110. Roberto Luongo as well.
Yeah, I mean the bad news out of Chicago, as I'm sure everybody knows, is Pat Kane is done at least
loss.
until the playoffs, and who knows? Really, that's a bad one. I wasn't so angry about the hit. I don't think he meant anything by it. I think it was an accident.
Yeah.
So, but that does shake things up for Chicago. Kris Versteeg is going to be playing on the second line with Brad Richards and Patrick Sharp, so he automatically gains value. He's around $10,000, and I think he has the potential to start creeping up into the $11,000 and $12,000 range. So now is the time to use him. Florida does play good defense. They play well defensively. Roberto Luongo is still a solid goaltender, so not all in on Chicago tonight, but at the same time, I think there's some value to be had. Jonathan Toews scored against Florida. I think he's always worth a play. You know how much I love Johnny Toews.
You do.
And then Duncan Keith is really back to his form. Mm-hmm. He's the number 1 defenseman for Chicago, so I like them. As far as Florida goes, I really can't recommend anybody on this team right now. They are not playing their best hockey of the season at this point, and they are capable of playing better. So not a team I'm just going to throw away for the rest of the season. They're still in the playoff hunt in the Eastern Conference, but you just can't rely on them tonight.
I meant to ask earlier, is there any of these 9 games that you're tossing out tonight? Are you taking a look at pretty much all of them?
Yeah, all of them.
You didn't really mention that before, so I figured we were just kind of rolling through each one.
All of them are definitely in place tonight. There are plays to be had from every game.
Well, a game I think we might take a pretty good look at, St. Louis Blues, minus 125 taking on the Winnipeg Jets, plus 105. Neither goalie has been confirmed for
Yeah,
that
I mean,
team.
now we're getting into the Western Conference games, so none of these have really been confirmed at the
Yep.
time that we did this. But St. Louis is the favorite here for obvious reason. They can score, but talk about a team shaking up their lineup. They messed it all up from top to bottom.
Really?
So none of the lines are the same. Patrick Berglund is on the top line with David Backes and TJ Oshie. Alexander Steen is on the second line. Vladimir Tarasenko is on the third line.
Wow.
So the ice time is not guaranteed in St. Louis. You obviously have to give them a look because they are one of the highest scoring teams in the NHL. They can score on any given night. But Ken Hitchcock is more worried about his playoff appearance than he is about the regular season.
Well, he came out and said, I'm not happy with the performance. You guys are kind of coasting.
Very true. So no surprise. No surprise at all. One player that's been playing really well lately is Jaden Schwartz. I think you need to give him a look as well. Alexander Steen has played well against Winnipeg. As far as the Jets go, same kind of thing. They're really shaking things up as well. They lost Blake Wheeler. Not sure how long he's going to be out for, but Michael Frolik moves up onto that first line. Not sure I like him tonight, but we do have to keep him in mind for the future.
Fair enough. Moving along, the Minnesota Wild, plus 140, taking on the Nashville Predators, minus 160. We got to assume the Stars will be in this game. So.
Yeah. Dubnyk and Rene. I mean, if I was going to throw a game out, it would be this one.
Yeah, I think so.
And that's just because of the fact that these are two teams that have built from the net out. So they're two defensive-minded teams, although Nashville is one of the higher-scoring teams in the NHL as well. Philip Forsberg is always worth a look every night. James Neal, Mike Fisher. These guys are worth consideration every night, as well as Shea Weber and Roman Josi. And then if you're playing in heads-up competition, I think Pekka Rinne is a good option as well. He's cheaper than Carey Price now. He's around $21,000.
Wow.
And then Devin Dubnyk, if you want to take a chance, the guy's been on fire. I mean, ever since he came to Minnesota, he's been fantastic. For value, I like Justin Fontaine still. He's on that second line with
Yeah, you
Zach
talked about
Parise.
him the other night. So.
Yeah,
All right, moving along. We got the last couple West Coast games. The Ottawa Senators, plus 170, taking on the Los Angeles Kings, minus 230.
Damn you, amateur. Damn you.
This line's this is deceiving because
I can't believe he shut out the Ducks. And really, honestly, I think it has more to do with the fact that the Ducks weren't able to get any pucks on net. They had 25 shots on goal. I think Ottawa had over 30. So they got outplayed, I think. And I'm still going to stick to my guns. And now that they are playing a team that's hotter than they are, Los Angeles is one of the hottest teams in the NHL. I believe they're going for their 9th straight win.
They just made a move the other day. Got picked up Andrej Sekera. So.
Exactly, yeah. And they're prepped for the playoffs. They're ready to roll.
They're doing the exact same thing they've done each and every year. They start making moves in February, right before the trade deadline, and then they just go into overdrive.
Absolutely. So that 70s line, love that. Dwight King, Tyler Toffoli, and Jeff Carter, one of my favorite plays in daily fantasy right now. And Jonathan Quick is under 16,000, so you have to give him a look. I think the Kings are well worth it tonight.
You're not going to get burned by Hammond again, you don't think?
No, because you're going to suck like you're supposed to. Don't do it.
Coming out of the break, we're going to wrap up with the last NHL game on the night, and we're going to give you our winning lineups here on the Star Fantasy League Show.
Now, let's get back to it. The Star Fantasy League Show. Feel free to tweet the show at SF Leagues.
Welcome back to the Star Fantasy League Show. I'm your host, Matthew Futter, at SFL Matt. My co-host, Nick Steblenko, at SFL Nick, coincidentally.
I think it's right there, right?
I think so. But
hopefully.
All right, let's wrap up with the last NHL game on the night. Then we'll give you our winning lineups for StarFantasyLeagues.com that you can put in any of the games we got. We got GPP games, heads up, league games. You can play anything, really, which is nice. The Detroit Red Wings plus 105 taking on the San Jose Sharks minus 125.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me. I'm really not sure which way this one is going to go. Detroit is kind of wrapping up their West Coast trip right now, and they haven't had the best run of things. So it is kind of tough for me to put a lot of faith in them. But I think obviously, excuse me, the top guys, Pavel Datsyuk, Henrik Zetterberg, these guys can score on any night, so you can think about them. But other than that, I mean, this is a tough game. I might stay away from this one just because I'm not sure which way this could go. The Sharks, they obviously have a lot of offensive firepower, but they tend to not show up in certain games, namely in the playoffs. So,
yeah, they are the ultimate choke artists in the playoffs.
Oh, my goodness, yes. And then one year, they're just going to win the Stanley Cup and just shock the world.
Yeah.
And whatever. But I really think I'm going to be staying away from this one for the most part. There's no way I can call this. I don't know. This is a tough game.
Fair enough. All right, time for our winning lineups for the NBA, for the NHL, and you can put these in on StarFantasyLeagues.com. I'm going to start with my NBA lineup. Like I said, it's really tough tonight because there's not a lot of value. So
were you able to get any of the top dogs in there?
I unfortunately was not. If you consider top dog, Westbrook, Curry, and LeBron.
Those are the three.
I originally had Westbrook in there, but I would have been playing guys that are around the minimum who really can't do anything. So
that's tough.
I had to take a shot someplace else. So I'm going to start with my guard position. I put in both of the Phoenix guards, Eric Bledsoe and Brandon Knight. They're both playing 30-plus minutes. Even with the acquisition, it really hasn't hurt Bledsoe whatsoever. He's gone for over 30 points, fantasy points the last couple games.
Very nice.
And I put Brandon Knight in as well, who for the first time last game played. He played 33 and 34 minutes since coming to this team.
Okay.
And then my last guard is J.R. Smith, actually. I fit him in. He's around 10,000. He only had played 22 minutes last game, but before that was averaging around 30 minutes and hitting about that 26 to 27-point fantasy night. So
not bad at all.
So I'm banking on him coming back. For forwards, I went with the Morris brothers, Markieff and Marcus.
You went with both of them.
Yes, I did, because Marcus is actually only 8,500, and last game he actually had 23 minutes and he had over 21 fantasy points. So I'm taking a bank on him having a nice game. A couple games against Oklahoma City this year, he's averaged about 21 fantasy points. So got to take a shot there. My other forward is Harrison Barnes, actually, for the Warriors. Another guy who's playing around the last 3 games around that 30-minute mark. Hasn't had a great production, but I'm looking for those minutes tonight.
All right.
And the center position, I went with Mozgov. I went a little bit higher than Alex Len because I like the matchup a bit better.
Okay.
And then my utility, I was able to fit Inez Kanter in there as well.
Fair enough. That sounds pretty solid. Short slate, 2 games. You got to do what you got to do.
Really tough.
You got to take some chances. That's
really tough. Yeah, I agree. So let's hear your winning lineup for hockey, Nick.
All right. Let's start off with my left wingers. We have Dwight King. He's my favorite value play lately. He's at 6,000, doing a great job for the Kings on that 70s line. The other left winger is going to be Chris Kreider. I'm taking a chance here tonight. Like I said, he played well against Arizona the last time they played, so I like him. 2 right wingers are going to be Zach Cassian, my value play on the top line for Vancouver, and then Wayne Simmons. I love the way he's been playing lately. 2 centers, Patrick Berglund. He is on the top line for St. Louis, and then Jeff Carter. I love that 70s line. Drew Doughty is going to be my first defenseman at 10,000, and then Ryan McDonough. He is playing for New York. He is around 9,000. Jonathan Quick's going to be my goalie. He's under 16,000 still. And for my flex play, I'm going with Thomas Plekanec for Montreal. Let's go, Habs. Get it done for me tonight, please.
Rolling with Quick in the goaltenders.
Oh, you got it. I mean, he's so hot right now.
I really hope Andrew Hammond burns you.
No.
Because that will be really funny.
That is rude.
Well, what are you going to do then?
I'm going to fly out to Los Angeles and have a word with him, I guess. I don't know. Listen, Mr. Hammond, I don't really appreciate what you're doing right now.
Well, you can appreciate us tomorrow on the Star Fantasy League show. See you later.
Take it easy.